I'm a great fan of dairy products for humans in general. But dairy is a very complex food socially and nutritionally and culturally, and so it requires a little bit, that statement requires a little bit of unpacking. Many cultures thrive on dairy products of all kinds. The best dairy products are traditional, so they come from grass-fed cows. The milk is unhomogenized. The milk is ideally unpasteurized or raw because there are many heat-sensitive nutrients in milk. And then those dairy products are often prepared in traditional ways, so usually fermented or cultured, made into cheese or yogurt or butter, which is really just removing everything but the fat, ghee, which is truly everything but the fat. So we start there. The best dairy is traditional, and it's often prepared in a way that makes it more digestible for people who are not accustomed to consuming fresh dairy products in adulthood. So it has been suggested that many people are lactose intolerant. This isn't really accurate. What we're actually describing is in adulthood, we stop producing lactase, the enzyme which helps us break down fresh milk. We're all born producing lots and lots of lactase because we are mammals and we're breastfed traditionally. So in a few cultures, the adults carry on producing this enzyme which allows them to digest fresh milk. But particularly if they lived in hot cultures, they weren't able to keep fresh milk from spoiling. Hence the production of yogurt and other things to keep fresh milk around for more than a day or two. So if you have a look, you can find actually the ability to continue to produce lactase in adulthood has arisen as a genetic capacity, as a competence of the human body in multiple places in human history. So lots of people can produce the lactase to digest fresh milk, and a number of those genetic mutations, for that's what they are, have occurred in Africa as well. So the idea that I'm Asian or I'm African, of African or Asian origin, and I can't digest milk is simply untrue. That said, there are cultures who thrive without dairy products altogether. There are some in Asia, and it is quite possible to feed a human beautifully without consuming any dairy products. So the question is where to get the nutrients dairy products contain. In the historic, traditional, fairly recent American diet, dairy products are just flat out one of the best sources of fat-soluble vitamins A and D and of calcium. They're a beautiful, balanced recipe for protein, fat, and carbohydrates, which is one of the reasons I love milk for children and pregnant women and nursing mothers. And you can, if you need to, get these nutrients somewhere else. So the place to get them, if you don't thrive on or care for dairy products, is bone broth for the calcium and other minerals. So chicken soup, beef broth, veal stock, and the vitamins A and D you'll get from seafood and pork products. Egg yolks, too. Well, the first thing to understand about the FDA is that the USDA and FDA and other government institutions are very critical of traditional foods without actually applying objective standards to how those traditional foods might be prepared in a safe and healthy and hygienic manner. And so all their numbers on raw milk are dubious. There are a number of foodborne contaminants and illnesses which pose a much greater risk to you and me statistically than the consumption of raw milk. That said, if you choose to consume traditional foods such as raw fish, which I eat, or raw milk, which I drink and my whole family drinks, including our children, you need to be absolutely sure of the source and find someone who cares a great deal about traditional methods of production and hygiene. So, why do we drink raw milk even though there is a small chance we'll get sick? Well, I find first, after doing all my research, that I trust the traditional food chain more than I trust the industrial food chain. There are a number of risks from eating industrial food, and I try to minimize and avoid those risks too. We drink raw milk simply because it's got more good food in it. So there are a couple of heat-sensitive nutrients in raw milk which are of interest. One is heat-sensitive vitamins. Some of the B vitamins are damaged by pasteurization. Another is that the fats are rather delicate in milk. The omega-3 fats are sensitive to heat, and there will be omega-3 fats in grass-fed milk, and so it's nice to preserve those. Another is enzymes, which help you digest the other nutrients in milk. So here are some enzymes which are deactivated or otherwise somehow limited after pasteurization. Lipase, which helps you digest lipids or fats. Phosphatase, which helps you absorb calcium, a key nutrient in milk, which is why raw milk contains more available calcium. And our old friend lactase, the enzyme that helps you digest lactose, the basic carbohydrate in milk, and there are tons of milk sugars, but lactose is the big one, is damaged by pasteurization. So I have met not a few people who say they were doubled over from gut pain when they drank milk and concluded they were so-called lactose intolerant, who drank fresh, clean, raw milk without any trouble. Well, it contains plenty of lactase. There's a lot to understand about real eggs and industrial eggs, and there is a vast difference between them. That said, I want my bumper sticker to be that eggs are real food and everyone should eat real food, because they are also a great food. A whole fresh egg, that is the yolk, the white, inside the shell, they're a great frugal real food. So if you're anywhere near the poverty line, eat eggs anyway, wherever you can find them. Just don't eat some kind of fake egg. Or re-engineered and reassembled egg. So now, what is the best egg? An industrial egg comes from a chicken. She's in a little cage with some other chickens. There are, I have been on chicken farms where the farmer was boasting that he put only 3 hens in a cage, which actually permits 9. The chickens were still on top of each other. She never goes outdoors. Artificial light tells her little ovaries when to lay an egg. And she is fed, she's fed chicken feed that may contain other animal parts. It may contain plate waste or parts of pigs or cattle or other chicken. And that's because the chicken is an omnivore. She can't live on grass and plants alone. She needs some protein, she needs some bugs, she needs some corn and other grain. And her eggs are, in addition to causing suffering to the laying hen herself, her eggs lack the rich vitamin A that she would get from eating the beta-carotene in grass, and they lack the omega-3 fats, which she would get from eating worms and bugs if she were actually running around. Then we have organic eggs, which are typically fed vegetarian feed. That's a good thing because they're not eating other ground-up animals. It's a bad thing because chickens really do want to be outside, and if they'd been outside a little, they would have eaten a worm. They wouldn't be strictly vegetarian. You might find a free range on the label with or without the term organic. Oh, she'll be eating organic feed, so there are no pesticides in her feed, which is a good thing. If you see the term free range, this merely means that she is not caged, and there is a wide range of actual practices which attach to the label free range. So free range is better, but not necessarily great. Doesn't mean necessarily that she goes outside. And so the happiest hen with the healthiest eggs for you is a so-called pastured hen, and it means that she goes outside. And in the dead of the winter, they can send them outside too. There's not a lot to eat out there in, say, upstate New York, which is my region, in the dead of winter. I know farmers who throw alfalfa sprouts and other things over the side, so their chickens are getting some greenery. Scratching in the dirt is what chickens love most of all, and they'll do it even in the snow. So look for the term pastured if you can.